Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please, I will appreciate if I can be able to share my slide. The host should accept my ability to share my slide because I'm going to be using a slide, please. Okay, thank you. Okay. Alhamdulillahi, alladhi awzala rasulahu bil huda wa adini haqi liyuzhirahu ala dini kullihi wa kafa billahi shahida. All praises and thanks to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who sent to us our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with guidance. And what is the guidance? It is Al-Quran Kareem. And the truth religion, what is the truth religion? It is Al-Islam. Because what binds us together today is that religion called Islam, then Nasfat. I'll be sharing some inspiring information on interpersonal communication among Dawa's workers, a strategic managerial skills. I'm the founder of Marik. Marik is a life training, coaching, and development organization. I led a team of small, dedicated members to help people and organizations achieve maximum productivity and performance. And I'm also a director of AVAC Leadership Academy, which is the new baby of NASFAT, which is started with the responsibility to be able to train leaders to become amazing people in life. So I would have appreciated to meet each and every one of us, but because I have a limited time, I think you can introduce yourself through the chat so that we can know you, and then we can be able to connect on a personal level. Our table of content: why communication matters, what is communication skills, the communication triangle, conclusion, questions, and answers. The first thing is, why are we discussing this? What are the two major types of communication? Why is communication is life? Our learning objectives. At the end of this 30 minutes discussion, we'll be able to identify the importance of communication skills in Dawa and as a strategic managerial skills. Then we'll also look at the reason why communication is vital, what is communication skills, and how can we develop our communication skills. I think the first question we should ask is why communication matters. First, the ability of a leader, whether a missioner, a secretary, an executive, in branch, in zone, and at the headquarters, to be able to pass information, ideas, concepts, thoughts in a crystal clear, engaging manner will help to improve productivity, performance, and bottom line. And that bottom line can be for us to spread the gospel of Islam, or for us to be able to build and develop NASFAT to become a more formidable Islamic organization globally. So in other words, in all facets, effective communication skills, especially effective interpersonal communication skills, will help us to achieve our objectives, our mission, and vision as an organization. And that is why it is not an option, it is a must for us to get our communication right. Let's look at the other side. Why, if we fail to get communication? When there is not effective communication, what happens is there is lack of direction between the team members, between the committee members, between the leaders. And when there is lack of direction, there's going to be low morale, low productivity, low performance. And that is why the foundation of a successful organization is communication. Communication is the art of building and sustaining a good organization. And when you look back, what had helped NASFAT to get where it is today is because of effective interpersonal communication of the builders, the leaders, the managers of the organization today. And if we want to take it to the next level, which we are all passionate about, then we'll have to take our communication to the right, to the next level too. So when it comes to communication skill, there are basically 4 skills you need to develop. The first is listening skills. And as leaders, as missionaries, as secretaries, as stakeholders, it is important for us to listen to our people because it is easy to speak than to listen. And what we need to do is to develop this ability to listen wholeheartedly at all times. Because it's one thing for you to listen partially, it is one thing for you to listen with every fiber of your being. And if you want to be a great leader, a great communicator, you must be able to listen because communication is a two-way street. The second is speaking. You must develop your ability to speak with clarity, conviction, and calmness, and be able to inspire your team members to take action on your ideas as a leader, because we have leaders and we have leader of leaders. But as long as you are listening to me, I strongly believe that you are a leader and you play a key role in taking NASFAT to the next level. And the third thing is reading skills. And whether we like it or not, there are sometimes we need to pass message in articles, in memos, in the news. We must be able to express ourselves in words, on papers. Then writing skills also is part of communication skills. Then what is communication? First, when it comes to communication, there are 2 things we must look at. There is a sender and there is a receiver. In other words, effective communication is a two-way street. Someone is giving the information, someone is receiving the information. In other words, there is a message that you are passing and there is a feedback that you are getting. And this must happen within a platform. There must be a medium you are using to communicate, and you must avoid noise, N-O-I-S-E. So if that is communication, then we can say that communication is a process by which people send messages or exchange ideas or thoughts with one another in a verbal or non-verbal manner. In fact, communication is more about non-verbal manner than verbal, because your word contribute 7% of your communication. The 93% has to do with your body language, your facial expression, your tone, your volume. It has to do with how you feel, who you are, and most importantly, the non-verbal thing you are communicating to people that will determine whether they are going to believe you, take action, or be part of the process. So there are 2 kinds of communication. We have internal communications and external communications. What we are doing right now is internal communications for NASFAT members. And what shapes the quality of your external communications is your internal communications. Because if you can get your internal communications right, if you can get your directions right, if you can get how, why, and what right, then it is easy for you to be able to do effective communication outside the organization. And when it comes to internal communications, we have trainings, meetings, emails, intranet, our social media, our website, our flyers. All these are communicating to people. All these are showing our level of commitment to excellence, to our vision, to the mission, to the objectives of the society. So remember that what shapes the external communication is the internal communication. And that is why this is important. And if we can get the internal communications right, then the external communications will follow. Just like after the day comes the night, and after the sun comes the moon. Immediately you get your internal communications right, the external communications comes in right now. So we discussed why communication matters most. And we've established the part that effective interpersonal communications will enhance individual performance, accelerate collective productivities, and help us to achieve our bottom line as an organization. And what are our bottom lines? These are our objectives, our visions, and mission as an organization. And we established the fact that communication is a two-way street. You have someone who is giving the information, you have somebody who is receiving the information. So you have a sender and a receiver. And there is a message that is being passed, and there is a feedback, and all this happen within a platform, a medium. We established the fact that we have internal communications and external communications. And what shapes the quality of the external communication is the internal communication. So we discussed about why. We've discussed about what. I think it is now time to discuss about how. How can we improve our interpersonal communications to take our dawah as a society, as an individual, as a leader to the next level? I think it is through self-development. It is through an effort to become better and better on a daily basis. When it comes to improving your communication skill, it is not a day thing, it is a daily thing. It is not a part-time project, it is a lifetime commitment. It is something you keep refining, you keep developing, you keep improving on a daily basis. And there is always a room for improvement, regardless of the stage you are as a leader, as a manager, and most importantly, as a communicator. So there are 3 C's that will help you to take your communication to the next level. And now I'm specific about internal communication because that is the area I am looking at. The first thing you should look at is clarity. Clarity is king. In fact, clarity is power. If you can be crystal clear in your message, in your ideas, in your thought, to your team members, to your committee members, to your branch members, to your school members, to your executive members, then you can achieve the first test of being a communicator, which is to pass a message. And the question is this: how can you achieve clarity? There is a system and a process. So the process is you should ask yourself 3 questions. Why am I passing this message? So that you are going to be clear about your objective, your goal. What do I want to achieve with this message? And how can I be able to effectively pass this message? So like I did today, when we started, we discussed why communication matters so that you can see the benefits, the advantage, why we are even discussing this. Then we discussed about what to clarify your thought about the ideas. And now we are discussing how we can become better communicators and improve interpersonal communications among NASFAT workers, whether as the president of the society or as a cleaner, because together we are working to enhance Islam and NASFAT. The process you need to follow. Why, what, how? And this why, what, how will lead you to 3 things: simplicity of thought. You know, your ability to pass your message in a simple, clear, plain manner will go a long way in achieving your objective. Because when you are communicating, there must be a reason you are communicating. So your purpose is not to impress people, but to express your opinions, your ideas, your thoughts, so that anyone can understand. The second thing is sincerity. If you are sincere with your communication, it becomes clearer to people. The third aspect is practicality. What makes your idea, your thought, your message fantastic is the ability of the receiver to be able to discover the truth by themselves, for themselves, in your message. Because now they can relate to it. Because now it is connected to their needs. Because now they can see themselves in the big picture. So you go for clarity, so that you are crystal clear in your message and your delivery. The second is conviction, because it is one thing for you to speak from your head. It is another thing for you to speak from your heart. And when it comes to effective interpersonal communication, you must speak from your heart. In fact, people must smell, feel what you are saying. And that is why communication success is non-verbal. The 93% of what shapes the success of your message is not what you say, it's how you say it. It's the feelings, the body language, the facial expression, the volume, the tone you use to speak. So how can you speak from your heart to your audience heart? How can you be able to inspire your team members, your committee members, your branch members with an idea that they now believe it in their heart and they are ready to take action? Two things. First, you must be interested in them, and you must be interesting in your delivery. How can you be interested in people? By being kind to them, by understanding that people are different. You can have 5 people under you or 10 people in your committee, but they have different personalities. They have different desires. They have different learning skills. Everybody is not the same. So when you are able to connect to people based on who they are in the personal level, it helps them to believe you more. And that is why you must care for them. That is why you must show them that they matter to you, that you celebrate them and you appreciate them. You just have to be interested in your people. And you have to know that people are different. They learn differently, they process information differently, they answer questions differently, they think differently. And when you are interested in them, then they are interested in your message. They are interested in your thoughts. They are interested in your ideas. They are interested in making sure that they work with you so that together you can achieve success for the society. The second thing is you need to be interested in your delivery. And how can you be interested? Ask them questions. Don't force ideas on them. I'm going to share with you at the end of this presentation a verse from Al-Quran, Surah Al-Imran, that shows how Prophet Muhammad did this and how Allah told him that this is what you need to do. So when you are interested, it means that you ask for their opinions, you consult them. You don't just tell them that this and this and that is it. Even if you know exactly what you want, you still carry them along. Let it be our project, not my project. You ask them questions, you clarify opinion, you share facts. It now becomes a process for you. And that is the only way they can be part of that transformation from their heart. Because when it comes to communication, it's all about getting results. You are communicating whether you want them to take action, to achieve a goal, to stop a habit, do something. There must be a reason you are communicating. And when you do this with conviction, it helps you to achieve your result. The third aspect of this is calmness. And when you deal with people from different backgrounds, if you are not careful, you can lose your cool. Yes, you can start shouting on them because you want them to get your message. And immediately you start shouting, you lose your power as a leader. You lose your effective interpersonal communication. That is where you must be cool, calm, and collected at all times, regardless of what is happening around you. And I know that can be difficult when working with people, especially people who are not taking their job seriously or their assignment seriously. But if you want effective communication, especially effective interpersonal communication, you have to be cool and calm at all times. Because the way you pass your message will determine whether they will even understand it. If you shout and you speak slowly, they will get the message differently. It's not the same thing you are saying, but how you are now saying it is what will make a lot of difference. So as much as possible, learn to speak slowly, to speak calmly, to listen, to give them the benefit of doubt. And when you focus on clarity, when you focus on conviction, when you focus on calmness, then you can take your communication skill to the next level. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us in Quran 3, verse 159, during the battle of Badr, the prophet told the Akkas to station themselves at some particular places. And when they find out that the Muslims were becoming victorious, some of these people left where they should be in pursuit of the bounties of war. Because of that, it caused catastrophic loss to the believers. And even Prophet Muhammad was wounded. But despite that, Allah told Prophet Muhammad in Quran 3, verse 159. Now I want us to read this with all our heart. Thus, it is by Allah's mercy that thou art gentle to them, and had thou been rough, hard-hearted, they will certainly disperse from around thee. So the first thing a leader must know, that if you want to be an effective communication, you have to be gentle with people. You can't be rough, hard-hearted. You can't show them that you don't care, and you want them to achieve your objective as a leader. You must let people know that you care about them. Then Allah continues. He said that, so pardon them and ask for protection for them and consult them in important matters. I think we've established this, that when it comes to effective communication, you need to consult your people. And how do you consult them? Ask questions, give them assignments, let them find the truth, let them be part and parcel of the process. But when you are determined, put your trust in Allah. And as a leader, you must be crystal clear of the direction. And when you take a direction, it means you've taken a decision and there is an action based on your communication. And when you do that, then put your trust in Allah. Knowing fully whether Allah will guide you, because Allah loves those who put their trust in Him. These are the beautiful words of Almighty Allah from glorious Quran, Surah Al-Imran, verse 159. And it shows us that non-verbal communication, which plays 93% in the success of a communication, has to do with you, how you treat people, how you use your body language, how you use your facial expression, how you show people that you are their brothers. And together, you can achieve great things by consulting them, by listening to them, by allowing them to have a voice and dignity so that you can communicate effectively to their heart. Ladies and gentlemen, we established some deep knowledge because I believe time management is key. And I'm going to take some questions and answer section. And what are the things we've established? We've established that for NASFAD and the 6 stars organizations, to move to the next level, there must be effective communication. And it must start from effective interpersonal communication. Yes. We must be able to understand ourselves and work together as a team. We've established the fact that there are 2 kinds of communication. We have internal communication and external communication. And what shapes the quality of external communication is the internal communication. And if we take care of the interpersonal communications among us as a strategic managerial skill, then we can take the society to greater heights and influence others who are just members of our society. We've established that communication skills requires a sender and a receiver of message. And after a message, there must be a feedback because communication is a two-way street. And there must be a platform. Most importantly, we must avoid noise. Then we established that how can we take these communication skills to the next level? The first is clarity. And how can you achieve clarity? Ask this question: why, what, and how? And go for simplicity, sincerity, and engagement. Then we discuss your ability to speak with conviction. And that is possible if you are interested in your people, if you know them, if you understand them, Even if you are an imam, you want to speak to someone, the way you are going to speak to students is different from the way you are going to speak with billionaires or multimillionaires. You must know your audience. You must understand them. What are their fears? What are their desires? What are their level of education? What are the business they do? What are their demographics, their psychographics? These are the things that will help you to be able to connect to them. Then you must be interesting in your delivery. Ask questions, state your fact, consult them. These are deep knowledge. And finally, you must speak calmly, slowly. And when you work with people, you must always be in charge of your emotions because your emotions determines your emotion. So ladies and gentlemen, I've shared with us deep knowledge, but knowledge is not the most important thing we know. In Islam, what shapes us is we do. And that is why Allah says you are the best ever raised for mankind because you enjoy what is good. You forbid evil and you have faith in Allah because we do. And that is why Allah will always say, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu wa amilu solihat. Those who believe in Allah and take action and do good. So I've shared with you deep knowledge. The second thing is for you to take action, quick action. One or two things you can do right now with what you've learned today that will help you to take your communication skills to the next level. Please take action, immediate action, so that this will not be one of those seminars, one of those trainings, one of those events, and we were inspired, we learned something, but at the end of the day, it does not add value to the quality of our life. Then finally, I want you to have strong faith that when you act based on this new knowledge, you can be able to communicate effectively with your team members, with your families, at all levels of your life. And when you do this, ladies and gentlemen, inshallah, you are going to achieve better results. You are going to achieve maximum results because we are all communicating already. We are all leaders. We are all stakeholders in this project. But we can do it better if we know better and we act better. And I believe we've known better. It is not left for you to know better. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I'll be taking some few questions because I think I just have 5 minutes out of my time, and then we can continue with the event. Thank you. I salute you.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My viewers at home, and I know that I know quite very well that you wouldn't have been disappointed. I explained when I was introducing our speaker, Cesar Karim, the most excellent speaker, is well talented, and he has not disappointed any of us today. We don't matter that continue to increase him in knowledge. One of the bullet points: speak calmly, communicate calmly. Don't be harsh on people. When you are talking to people, don't raise your voice and don't be harsh on them. Allah says in Quran chapter 17, verse 110, Qulidullah wa Rahman, Ayama Tedihu, Allah Asma'u Husna, Allah Jari Salatika wa Tukafitibia, after giving a Dalaka Sedila, says, call upon Allah, call upon the merciful. Whichever name you call upon him, to him belong the all the beautiful names. Pray neither loudly nor quietly. Rather, seek a middle course. Even Allah himself is telling us how to talk to him. I want you to communicate with me. Don't be too loud and don't be too lowly, but seek the middle course. It's so that communication is key in the life of every human being. We are waiting for questions, but before we get hold of those questions, I want to ask our speaker, what are the ingredients of good communication skills? What are the ingredients of good communication skills?
All right, sir. Thank you, sir, for the questions. The first ingredient of good communication skills is your ability to listen. It's your ability to listen to your audience because it is easy for us to assume. It is easy for us to speak. But if you can learn to listen and understand your audience and do your homework, then you can be able to hit the point, what they want to listen to and how they want to be communicated to. So, but most time what we do is that we assume that we already know them. We assume we already understand the problem. We assume we already have the power to share our own ideas. And we all know that as human beings, we all want to be carried along. We all want to be appreciated. So if we focus on listening, and listening can be finding out more about them. Listening can be asking them questions. Listening can be giving them the opportunity to share their own thoughts. So that is one. The second thing is clarity. So one of the things that make Alhaji Abdulaziz Onike a good communicator is that he can have a one idea and share it in a different manner. So you are saying the same thing, sir, but use different examples for you to make that idea clear in our mind. That is what we are looking for. So because as a communicator, you are not there to impress people with grammar. No, you are there to express an idea so that at the end of the day, they can learn something, they can gain something, they can take action, they can do something. You have an objective. So when you focus on listening, when you go for clarity, then that can be the foundation of an effective communication skills. Those are the ingredients of effective communicator.
Jazakumullahu khairan. We have been told on several occasions that we have verbal and non-verbal communication. As a Dawa worker, which one should I concentrate my energy on? Is it verbal communication skill or non-verbal communication skill?
Sincerely, as Dawa workers, we need both. Yes, words are important. Words are powerful. The Quran is filled with words, and those words can transform you. But we must also work on our non-verbal communication. Because if I say something that Assalamu alaikum and I smile, and I say Assalamu alaikum and I frown, it's the same word, sir, but it's a different message that I'm passing. In fact, you can call somebody and discipline that person with word, but the way you are going to speak it, that person will take it as a correction. But you can say the same word and that person will see you as an enemy. So as Dawa workers, we need to be good with words. We need to know how to use this word to inspire people. But more importantly, what will show whether people will believe those words or not is your emotions, is your facial expression, is your body language, is your gesticulation, is the tone, is the volume. These are the things that now add value to your words. So in other words, you need to work on those words, the verbal one, but you must also complement it with non-verbal one. And if you score 7 over 100, you know you have already failed. And that is why the 93% supplement the 7%, but the 7% is also very important.
Yes, we will allow you to go. Everybody go as part of our culture on this program. We always pray for the invited guests, and we are going to pray for us too. All the viewers are going to join me in reciting Surah Al-Qur'an for our speaker, pharmacist Session Karim. It's our pride. It's one of the youth that we are looking up to. He has been doing us proud in so many ways. We do matter Allah continue to increase him in knowledge, increase him in taqwa, and all the good things of life that he wishes for himself. May Allah grant him all the good things. Surah Al-Qur'an. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ila bi Quraish, ila bihim rilat al-shita wa sayf, falyabudu rabb hadha al-bayt alladhi at'amahum min ju'in wa amanahum min khawf, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Traditionally, we request for prayers from you.
All right, sir. Alhamdulillah, for all what Allah has done for us as Muslims. And I know that this is a very difficult time in our world. But those who put their trust in Allah, Allah will always protect them, be with them, and provide for them. My prayer is that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provide for us, protect for us, and guide us to the right path. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina asabana. Amina. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
May Allah be with you.
Amina, sir.
We now move on to invite our next speaker, all the way from Osogbo. He's a lecturer at that university owned by Nasrullah Elefati. He lectures at the Department of Mass Communication, Mountain University, Osogbo. His brother Abdul Rashid Adebiyi. Apart from lecturing, he's the co-founder of Positive Agenda Nigeria. Anybody who has been to Fountain University will know that the mass communication department of our university is top-notch. And this is one of the lecturers that is making us to be very proud of that university. I've met him on several occasions. I've seen him deliver on several occasions, and I know that you will not be disappointed listening to him today. Adebi is a good lecturer any day, and is here to do justice to the topic that he has been assigned. Brother Adebi from Fountain University, Osogbo, University of Nasrullah in the party. Over to you, 30 minutes for lecture, 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, sir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is my pleasure to be here this evening, especially to talk about this very important topic that we are looking at. But before I start, let me thank Allah who has made us witness today, who has ensured that we planned and the planning has come to manifest. Let me also thank the leadership of our proprietor, NOSFAT Worldwide, leveraging on the presence of our chief missioner, engineer Alhaji Abdulaziz Onike. I want to thank you for facilitating this. And of course, I will not do without thanking my Vice Chancellor, who, through the head of the department, decided to nominate me to take part in facilitating this. While thanking everyone, I want to request that I want to know if we are all seeing the slide that I put on. Okay. The topic before me today is internal public relations management, a developmental principle for Dawah organizations. And I know that when we say developmental principle for Dawah organizations, we are actually looking at NOSFAT as an organization. One thing that I have seen in NOSFAT that I have not been able to see in other organizations is that we do constant training and retraining. We talk about issues affecting the organization and we come up with how to provide solution to these issues. And so today, I'm going to be talking in the next 20 something minutes or thereabout on internal public relations management, a developmental principle for Dawah organization. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm going to start by asking the question, what is PR? Because it is very important for us to have an understanding of what we call public relations. Even to us as professionals, as teachers, we are finding it extremely difficult sometimes to differentiate between an aspect of PR and what PR actually is. So as a teacher, I'm going to proceed to say public relations is the discipline which looks after reputation on the line, with the aim of any understanding and support and influencing opinion and behavior. Now, that singular statement contains a lot, and I think we have to, as quickly as time permits us, take a look at what it means and the implications for us. Public relations as a discipline looks after reputation. Ijomoluabi, reputation. So when we say public relations, we mean reputational management. And of course, it's also aimed at getting understanding of people, earning understanding, getting support, influencing opinion and behavior. Now, many people might want to ask that yes, public relations in the secular world, yes, could be useful. How is it going to be useful for us as dawah workers? I mean, do we even have any interconnection between public relations and Islam as a religion, or the way we spread it? When we look back into the Sirah, when we look back into the Islamic history, we will understand that public relations is one of the major tools that was deployed by the Prophet ﷺ while selling the religion of Islam to the people of Arabian Peninsula. You know, he rose at a time that the Arabians were well established in their ways, in their culture, in their traditions, and then bringing about a new thing. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ensured he used the tools of public relations, even though at that time it could not have been conceived as part of public relations, because public relations as a discipline itself became so popular in the 20th century. However, some of what he did was actually public relations in its own way and manner. And when we go into the literature of Islam and public relations, we've seen scholars that have said that the Prophet ﷺ who is a catalyst and advocate of the religion of Islam, employed the tools of public relations in discharging that very difficult and challenging assignment of converting people to a new way of living. So the Prophet ﷺ not only built reputation, he also sought understanding, he sought support, and in a way influenced opinion and behavior. When we go down deep into the history of Islam, we will understand that the rich, the elites, were the first to rise up against the Prophet because they saw him as coming to change an entire system. So as dawah workers, we need to learn, we need to understand, we need to key into the tools of public relations as deployed by the best of example of humanity, the messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, the second aspect of public relations that I'm still going to talk about before we move further is that it is planned, it is sustained. It is planned and sustained efforts to establish and maintain goodwill and mutual understanding between an organization and its publics. Okay, so what we are saying here is that public relations is planned, it is also sustained. It is not a one-off thing. And usually the end game of public relations is to establish and maintain goodwill and mutual understanding between an organization and its publics. So anything we do, whatever we put forth to ensure that we establish and maintain goodwill and mutual understanding, which creates harmony between us as an individual and others, is public relations. And in every situation, there will always be an organization, there will always be an entity, there will always be a person on one hand, and the publics with which the person relates. Let's take it from the family. The family, which comprises of usually the husband and the wife and the children, are a unit. And of course, they have different publics that they relate with. Their immediate neighbors are their publics. The in-laws are their publics. The in-laws on the part of the wife, the in-laws on the part of the husband are different publics, and they must be maintained. The relationship between them must be maintained in such a way that there's going to be mutual understanding, so that there will be harmony, so that such family is going to is going to be doing well. Because without harmony, without understanding, without cooperation, without support from people around us as human, as an organization, as a unit, there is no way we can actually move forward. Because harmony, lack of harmony promotes disunity, it promotes backwardness. So now, that now takes us to the issue of publics. When we say publics in public relations, we are actually talking about two publics. We talk about internal publics, we talk about external publics, and we talk about the stakeholders. I mean, we talk about internal publics and external publics, okay? And the two of them are regarded as critical stakeholders. When we break the word stakeholders into two, we have stake, we have holders. Those who hold a stake in our life, those that our progress concerns most, those that have some kind of intimate relationship with us, are people that hold the stakes in our lives. And so people we relate with at the internal level are internal publics, people we relate with at the external publics. When we look at NOSFAT, there are actually outside of NOSFAT, our external publics, the pressmen, our external publics, regulatory bodies are our external bodies, our external publics, and other publics that are not within the system is our external publics. And when we look at it, we have devised different means of relating with them. For instance, we relate with the press. I can still recollect my Hijab Story campaign that NOSFAT floated. Very good one. It was a very good public relations move, which in a way promote the reputation of the organization, project the principles of Islam that we preach, and also in a way create a voice for the Hijabites in our midst. And so external publics are those people that we relate with outside of the organization. Then the internal publics are those people that are within. They are those people that are within. And here, I'm going to lay emphasis here. Even in secular organizations, even in corporate organizations, there is always a very high emphasis on external public at the expense of internal publics. And it has always been an issue, much more so for religious organizations. We pay little attention to public relations as a whole. Then, when we do public relations, we relate more with the outsiders than the insiders. We believe that, yes, insiders are part of us. And so, I mean, they should be able to understand. But they are human. They are human. There is also something that they are also expecting from the organization. They are expecting leadership. They are expecting trustworthiness. We need their confidence to ensure that the organization moves forward. So the internal publics are what we are going to be paying our attention to, because the title of the lecture is Internal Public Relations Management. Now, the question is, why is internal public relations important? Why is it important? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Why? We say internal public relations, which has to do with the internal publics, those within us, those people that we attend as Alatus together with, the members of the ESCO at all levels, the zones, the branches. How do we move them? How do we mobilize them? How do we direct them towards the programs of the organization in such a way that they are going to have a key stake, in such a way that they are going to see themselves as part and parcel of the program. So why is internal public relations important? The first thing is issues monitoring. It's important as Dawa workers, as Dawa organization, we need to listen to what members say. It's important for us to understand members' position on issues within the organization. So this goes to the table of all the public relations secretaries from the headquarters down to the branches, from the headquarters to the zones to the branches. We need to take pay proper attention to the internal publics. So because we need to monitor issues from their end. The second reason why internal public relations is important is information sharing. On daily basis, we share important information. On daily basis, we share important information. We share information on the achievement of the organization. We share important information on plans of the organization. We share important information on strategies of the organization. We share important information about policies of the organization with members. Okay, so it's important that we pay attention to the internal publics, those people, all of us within the organization, from the international level down to Nigeria, down to the zones, down to the branches. We must pay attention to our members. However, we should be careful of two things while we are sharing information. The first one is information overload. In information management systems, we describe information overload as a difficulty in understanding an issue and effectively making decisions. Okay, because one has too much information about an issue, and that's why we say public relations itself is about information management. It's about information management, and we need to manage that information in such a way that we will not create information overload. And at the same time, we also have to be careful of information underload. Okay, at this point, we are talking about a situation when people do not have access to the information they need to make decisions on an issue. And as a result, they are unable to make decisions. So we can see that the two situations are not ideal situations. Okay, so the ideal situation is to understand what kind of information gets to what people. It's important that we do that, but we need information sharing among our members. As a matter of fact, information is the blood of any organization. Yeah, public relations to internal public relations is also important for what we call membership branding. Okay, when we have internal public relations, it enables an organization to fit its membership into its branding strategy. Now, how do I mean? When we say we want our members to be branded, yes, when we see the white, the blue hijab over white, we know it is NOSFAT. Okay, that is physical branding. What about psychological branding? How do we ensure that our members are, when we see a NOSFAT member, we say this is a NOSFAT member because this is how a NOSFAT member behaves. When we see a NOSFAT member conducting a particular business with outsiders or others, when we see a NOSFAT member in the office setting, when we see a NOSFAT youth in the university, we say this is how a NOSFAT member should be, because we are branded us both physically and psychologically. And so when we relate with the internal publics, our members within the organization, definitely we are inculcating in them what it means to be a NOSFAT member. Now, I briefly have an illustration of what we mean by membership branding. You can see I said there is corporate NOSFAT, people who are in the corporate world and who are NOSFAT members. They are trustworthy. They pay attention to their religion. They are careful in their dealings with people. Okay, semi-corporate NOSFAT members. We have artisan NOSFAT. When anybody is an artisan and has a particular way of behaving, has a particular way of relating with people. For instance, a NOSFAT member who is a tailor will not disappoint people, will not collect more than they can handle, and at the end of the day, which leads to disappointment. And then a NOSFAT youth. So this is what I mean by NOSFAT membership branding. And then why I also said internal publics have very intimate relationship and it's taking the organization Therefore, we need to win their loyalty, we need to win their confidence, we need to win their trust. All of these can be achieved when we pay serious attention to the internal publics. And of course, the last one is that we need to pay attention to the internal publics because we need their buy-in, okay, for our programs to succeed in terms of human and resources mobilization. We need to pay attention to the internal members of the organization and carry them along and let them feel belonged and let them have it, let them create some kind of stake as part of the organization. Yes, it is because it's our NOSPAT. Anything that is NOSPAT should not be left to rot. Anything that is NOSPAT should be handled very well. Anything that is NOSPAT should be contributed to immensely. And so we will create this sense when we place more attention, when we place more emphasis on the internal public relations, as we have been saying. Now, I now said DAWA organizations, what are the peculiarities? There are peculiarities of DAWA organizations that we have to take a look at. People say that yes, because we are working in a religious organization, there is this high expectations that we usually have of people. We have to get it clear that people that are in the branches, people that are in the zones, people that are at the headquarters are as human as those in the secular sphere. Okay, we are all human, and of course, they gravitate towards good PR when we carry them along. They are repulsed by bad PR when they feel left behind. Yes, we are mobilizing people, but we should understand that we are mobilizing people both for here and hereafter. And of course, there is nothing we do in corporate public relations that should not be done in religious public relations. Now, let us take a look at NOSPAT in the PR loop. Here, I want to take a look at what are the issues that I've been able to identify that we need to begin to take a look at and begin to refine. Some of them we have programs in place, some we might not have. Okay. Now, here I said NOSPAT the internal PR issues. One, yes, public relations secretaries from across the zones, across the branches. A lot of the times we might find it difficult to actually have practitioners of public relations to occupy this position. And it is not peculiar to NOSPAT as an organization. A couple of years back, myself and a colleague in the department wanted to do a research on public relations officers of Islamic organizations in Southwest. And it was very difficult for us. Actually, sometimes they will say, talk to the Amir, talk to the president. I said, we need public relations. People who are in charge of public relations. We want to find out their qualifications. We want to find out whether they have experience in managing public relations issues before. So I think it's one of the major issues that we have as an organization, which may affect both our internal and external. But because we are talking about internal public relations today, we are going to be looking at these issues. Non-practitioner public relations secretaries. The second one, no deliberate effort on PR within and without, especially because of the little information I've been able to gather before coming up here. Then conflicting attention. What do I mean here? And it is everywhere. It's a professional hazard that public relations people are facing these days. You find it difficult to convince the management to your own side. You find it difficult to tell the management to do this and do that. And why? Because they will believe that, what's the result? Yes, when we do this, what does it bring to us? If we don't do it, what is it going to bring to us? And then measuring success is also an issue. How do we measure success of those things that we have been able to put in place? If we say we want to run a particular policy for 1 year, after the year, how do we measure the success? So we need, it's part of the issues that we have to pay attention to. Then lack of long-term and short-term strategic public relations plan for within and without. So it's important for us as an organization to have long-term plan and draw from it short-term strategic plan, and then measure the success as we move on a yearly basis. Let's say we run a 5-year long-term plan of increasing the number of people on our social media page. Okay, for instance, I was checking the NOSPAT's Facebook just this morning. I saw we had close to 30,000 followers, and I was wondering that with the number of members that we have in NOSPAT, we should have more subscribers. Now, let's say we say we want to increase that number to 1 million in 5 years, both members and non-members. Okay, at the end of that 5 years, at the end of 2.5 years, how many have you been able to achieve? So that's part of what I'm talking about. On a yearly basis, what do we bring in? And so on and so forth. So these are internal public relations issues, and there is no way we have some of these issues without it not affecting how we relate with the people. Now, this takes me to one of the functions of public relations, that if you don't pay attention to the internal public, if you don't manage the internal public relations very well, are going to be hard. Now, this is a lot of the times down to the zones and down to the branches to switch on to virtual asalatus and programs. There was a memo that came down from the headquarters down to the zones and to the branches. That is a kind of top-down communication. And of course, we also have the bottom-up. Every organization survives when it is able to hear from its foot soldiers, especially an organization that is as big and wide as NOSPAT. We should have a route through which information from the branches will get to the zones, and to the zones to the headquarters. So both top-down and bottom-up information flow will assist the organization to go a long way. Now, it will be good to state the issues without looking at how do we now bridge the gap. What do we need to do? What do we need to do? And I've identified some here. One, I said we need to create a strategic PR plan that caters for both long and short-term internal PR needs of the organization. This will require us to sit down and take a serious look at it. What we have done so far, where are we, and where are we going to get? So the second one is to deploy the best tools to achieve both top-down and bottom-up communication within the organization, because the flow of the two will ensure that we have a membership that is carried along, that we have a membership that appears or that have a stake, that believes that they have a stake in the organization. And of course, we have to do deliberate monitoring of the implementation of the strategic plan. It's important. We have to monitor it, okay, on short-term basis, on long-term basis. Where are we? What do we need to do to move from where we are to the next level we are aiming? And of course, we need to create key performance indicators to measure the success of the plan. Now, in closing, I have here suggested tools for internal public relations management. When a pharmacist, Karim, was speaking the other time, he was talking about tools we use for internal communication. And the first thing, one of the things he mentioned was newsletter, and that's why I'm going to begin with. We need to have a newsletter that we use to generate information from bottom up, and then release such information top down. Different branches, their issues, their achievements, their progress, their alliances, their partnership, what they have been able to, the successes they have been able to record so far, has to be here. People who are our members, who are doing well, who are getting promotion, who are doing all sorts of good things, supposed to be there. So newsletter is one of the tools that we can use to manage our internal public relations program. Then we have social media, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter. We need to get as many people as possible on board, okay, from all around the zones, the branches, and so that everybody will be on the same page as far as issues that are happening within the organization. And of course, there are instant messaging apps such as WhatsApp that we can use. I understand that the public relations secretaries have a WhatsApp that combine them, through which they can invest mostly top-down kind of information. And then how do we get the bottom up is what we need to take a look at. Then we have mobile application that we can develop for an organization as big as NOSFAS. We need a mobile app that can enhance internal public relations management. And then collaborative tools like the Google Doc and Slack. I was part of the SCDC FinTech Alliance, FinTech 1000 Alliance during the COVID-19, during the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic. And what we were doing as communication strategies was to look at ways of bringing in corporate Nigeria, bringing in religious bodies, bringing in cultural institutions to ensure that messages about COVID-19, especially the forensic messages, are passed across to the people. So one good practice that was done, and which I think could be done by NOSFAT as an organization, is to employ collaborative tools such as Google Doc or Google Excel, where we put information that we know the general public need there, and people who are members of the collaborative team can pick from them and then disseminate. And of course, we cannot do without constant training. You know, as I've said, that public relations secretaries might not be practitioners, but of course, if they are exposed to constant training on self-development, on being better public relations persons, they will be able to relate well and be able to handle the internal public relations management of the organization in such a way that every member would feel carried along. As a way of summarizing and in concluding, I want to say that we have spoken about the importance of public relations to us as a DAO organization, especially looking at the internal public, which is very important. I've also said that there's a lot of organizations, a lot of the times they don't pay attention to the internal public, but the internal public is very, very, very important. It's from them that we get the key, the buy-in into our programs. We get subscriptions, we get financial strength, we mobilize human resources to ensure that we achieve our objectives and goals. And so we have also said that we need to address the internal public relations issues, especially as it relates to information flow, top down and bottom up. And of course, we need to pay serious attention to information overload and information download, and stay in a balanced mode in which we have the right people getting the right information at the right time. And I've also suggested that there are tools that we can use for public internal public relations management, which I've talked about: collaborative tools, mobile app, instant messaging, WhatsApp, social media, newsletter, and of course, setting a strategic plan that can be monitored, that can be measured, both in the long and in the short term. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us successful here and the hereafter, and may He make our goals and objectives achieved. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know that I reward you abundantly. I was not surprised. You didn't expect anything less than this. And I promise you, we are going to do this one again. You have gained a lot from your knowledge. May Allah increase you in knowledge. May Allah be with you. People have requested for copies of the presentation and the audio, and we are promising them that inshallah the program is being recorded. It will be available on Nasra TV on YouTube, and it will be available on our Facebook, inshallah. For the presentation, we'll see how we can send it on our website too. May Allah make it easy for us. May Allah reward our presenter. May Allah reward you and consider it as an act of ibadah for you. May you find it among your deeds on the day of Qiyamah. Inna so that I don't want to be unjust to you. It's our tradition that we ask our guest speaker to pray for us. If only for 20 seconds. We need your prayers.
Yes, Alhamdulillah. It's my prayer that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us successful here and hereafter. May Allah continue to expand the coast of Nasfa from higher height to higher height. May we all be useful to Islam. May Allah be with us. I pray especially for the leadership of Nasfat. I pray that Allah strengthens them to achieve the goals and the objectives of the organization. I pray for Fountain University that Allah continues to grow us from strength to strength. And I pray for every member of the organization who have attended this training this evening. May Allah increase us in knowledge. Bismillah-Fatiha. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin.
Amen. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Part of the take-home point, when you are disseminating information, when you are transmitting information, ensure that what you are transmitting is true and nothing but the truth. You must not disseminate fake information. Quran chapter 49 verse 6 is very clear about that. If it's transmitted comes with any information, verified information, it's a very grievous sin in Islam to peddle fake information. Number two, you cannot forget in a hurry the incident of the ifku, the slander leveled against our mother, Aisha. That we find Quran chapter 24, verses 11 to 21. This shows that our religions are not all a compulsory religion. There's nothing that is not mentioned in our religion. We will Allah continue to strengthen our iman and be with all of us. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Inshallah, we invite Brother Nabi back again. As I told you at the beginning of the program, this is just the maiden edition of the program. It's going to be a continuous one, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Jazakumullahu khairan. Jazakumullahu khairan. We move on to our third speaker, Malam Abdulaziz Toyin Solawuddin. Toyin Solawuddin is a graduate of Mass Communication, International Relations and Strategic Study from Bayo University and Lagos University, respectively. He has worked with a number of Muslim publications, defunct and existing. He's a media consultant and marketing coordinator for Soria Nigeria Limited. That Soria Nigeria Limited is a food manufacturing company. Mr. Salawuddin is the managing director of Capel Foods, producer of fruits honey. He's a columnist. He's a social analyst. He's a commentator on issues and events. He's the vice president of Islamic Reflection Trust. He's a member of Nasrat PR committee at the headquarters. This will be our third speaker today. Inshallah, May Allah make the task easy for him, and may Allah reward him abundantly. Brother Abdulaziz Salahuddin, you have the floor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Salatu wassalam ala ashrafil mursalin Muhammad bin Abdullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We seek refuge from Allah, from the shaitan, the accursed, and in his name we start a discussion. I greet all of us in the best way of greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The topic to discuss is similar to the topic of the first speaker. So by the grace of Allah, I'll be making a lot of contributions in the same line. I drew the attention of the organizer that these topics are similar. So when I listened to the first speaker, I am happy that they have been able to cover some important areas. The first thing I want us to appreciate is this. We are talking about interpersonal communications, and we should not be looking at it as a modern approach to interaction. We can say very confidently, interpersonal communication predates human existence. We will not call it personal, but we say God-angel interaction. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 30, organized what we can call interaction, this interactional conversation. He told the angels, I'm going to establish a viceroy on the earth. And the angel replied. And that is essentially what we're looking at in the interpersonal communication. We are talking of interactive conversation. It is more than sender and receiver. God spoke with the angels about what he wants to do, he wanted to do. And the angel replied. And Allah replied to and made remark. So we should appreciate that there's no existence without interpersonal communication. All along the history of mankind, we've been having interaction. And as long as we're having interaction, we're having communications. The first lecturer said very brilliantly that the speaker, that is the sender of message to the audience, is getting feedback. I'm also modifying by saying the audience and the speaker are conversing mutually. If the one is making use of the speech, the other one is making use of the feedback signals, and sometimes in words. So we should appreciate that. If we go beyond the sender and receiver level or concepts, we should begin to look at our interpersonal communication as interaction and interhuman relationship, which is very, very immediate. I also want to emphasize that the need for a serious premium attention to be paid to interpersonal communication is the fact that all messages that Allah sent to mankind were conducted through interpersonal communication at the beginning. Angel Jibril came to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he spoke with him. Muhammad went back home and he spoke with Khadija. And the prophet was speaking with the close friends. Today we could spread Islam on different levels and channels of communication. But when we look back, we will discover that the first channel, the first system, the first mode of conversation or interaction on Islam was and will remain the interpersonal communications. I will go further to say that in Islam, there's no way you can make good of your communication or your message except the knowledge is acquired. The communicator must acquire knowledge. I'm modifying what the first speaker said. The communicator must acquire knowledge first and foremost, because if you don't have the knowledge, there's no way you can go about telling the audience the right thing to do or the wrong thing to avoid. So we should appreciate as serious and vital ingredient of our interpersonal communication, knowledge acquisition. I want to relate this to the fact that the spread of Islam, if you look back very well, has been handled by the knowledgeable people. And the Prophet always delegates people that are well-versed in Islam to tell others about Islam. So in our society, NASFAT, and we are talking and looking at the use of interpersonal communication, I want to make a serious advocacy that communicator in this context must be well established in knowledge acquisition. Knowledge must also be a verifiable knowledge, not just knowledge that is false, because there are false levels of knowledge all over the world now, because knowledge has been fabricated, falsified, and abused. So for Islam, because NASFAT is representing the spread of Islam, so who want to conduct the message at interpersonal communication, interpersonal relationship must emphasize for himself, on behalf of the society, the true knowledge of Islam. And I want to say that the true knowledge of Islam today, in order to avoid ambiguity, and that was what they did in the past. That is the learning the message contained in the Holy Quran adequately and appropriately, followed by the knowledge as contained in the hadith of the prophets. There's no other important message you want to spread to the society and to the generations except this. That is the Islamic knowledge. So we should emphasize, when we do our interpersonal communication, the knowledge of the religion or of the faith or of the Sunnah of the Prophet or the Sirah or the word of Islam or even the events that are happening in the world, as far as they are affecting the world and the Muslims in particular. We must have a good knowledge of that. We must also raise audience in the interpersonal communication. We must see how we can push this knowledge to individuals by first and foremost knowing the individuals. I think there is an error going on in so many organizations. We want to talk about Islam to people, we do not even know the people. In the communication knowledge, there's what they call communication research. So we need to research about who are our potential audience. Who are they? What is their level of understanding? How are we going to go about talking with them at the individual levels and the group levels? So we should appreciate who are our audience and how to go about it. I want to give us an example of what happened during the time of the prophets. The prophet saw a man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, urinating in the mosque. And the prophet knew very well that he was a Bedouin. A Bedouin was a crooked person who had no knowledge at all of Islam, and even crooked about the social ethics. And others were trying to embarrass and harass the man, and the prophet just said, leave him, let him finish the urinating. And later on, he called him and he taught him what to do. We must identify our audience. We must identify our society. We must recognize their ignorance. Then we must know how to place our information across to them. we must also appreciate that, like our first speaker said, there are ingredients or elements, I'm not calling it ingredient, elements of interpersonal communication that are very, very critical. He mentioned some of them. I want to add this context. We are communicating with we are not just sending messages. We are talking with an audience, and we do not care their psychological makeup. They say the context of messages that you are putting across, exchanging, is key. For instance, somebody who is bereaved, and you are talking to him about something that's not even of our interest. So it will not get there, will not make a sense. So it's very important that we understand the context of our interactive partner, and we know what to say and where to say it. Time to say it. The context is very key. The context sometimes may require us to first of all address issues so that we can gain audience of our partner that we are doing interactive conversation with. We should remember it is very important that we must do conversation very pleasant. And that's why we are talking about the context of our partners in conversation. If we care less about what goes on in the minds and the surrounding of our audience, will not make any headway. We are calling on the people that are in dawah. That is not enough to know what to tell your audience. It also requires us to know our audience in their contextual situations. We must also appreciate, like he said, the first speaker said, that the feedback is like conversation. It's not different from, that's why we say mutual interaction. Each time we do the feedback, we are talking to the speaker. Each time the speaker is talking to us, we are also listening. So the speaker must listen, the audience must listen. So both of them must listen to themselves, and both of them are communicating. I want us to look at the ayah in Surah An-Nahl, where Allah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Idwa ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wa mau'izatil hasana wajadilhum billati hiya ahsan. Inna rabbaka alam biman ittada, biman dalla wa annahu alam biman alam al-muttadin. Wa huwa alam bil muttadin. Allah says we should call people to his path with wisdom. So I'm saying, in a sense, interpersonal communicator must possess wisdom to communicate. It is not just knowing what you want to say. It is also important that you must know how to say it and how to say it with a lot of wisdom. The wisdom must be acquired from the life experiences, from the methods of the past preachers. Sayyidina Umar was saying, he was talking to people in different manners, just like we talk about non-verbal. Sayyidina Umar was trying to tell the world that a leader of Islam must not necessarily be luxurious. And a man came to his empire, and he saw him. He didn't know that he was the emperor, that is, he was the caliph. He sat on the simple mat, and he was asking who was the leader of this Muslim empire. And they said that was him there. He used wisdom to teach, and the man was flabbergasted. He was surprised that the leader of this big nation of Islam would just behave like this. So it is very important that we make good, we use wisdom. Some people feel that because they know and they are talking to the ignorant, and the way they talk to them, does not show any respect, does not show any wisdom. So this will not spread Islam, because we're looking at how do we, essentially when you look at interpersonal communication, it is all about how do you send this message to the next person? How do you allow people, how do you encourage people to see reasoning in accepting this Islam? So we must use wisdom, we must learn wisdom, and we must do it very well. Say, some people think that they have to threaten people before they can accept Islam. So we must remember that Allah does not want us to talk with people with dread, threats, fear. No. If you look at the entire message of Islam in the Holy Quran, the fear is less than the promising notes, the glad tidings. So we should use words when we are interacting with people that are very pleasant, that raise their hope, that make them feel positive. So people have destroyed the spread of Islam with their first impression of how they talk about it. Too violent, too harsh, too dreadful. So we should remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this verse, call people to his path with wisdom and pleasant message, and as well as you must use authority to convince. So when there is any argument, a Muslim must raise authority of argument, very much with wisdom, very much with pleasantness, and very much with conviction. This is the reason a Muslim that is spreading Islam through interpersonal communication must not undermine the audience. Sometimes you just think that the audience does not know, and you are telling him something that are not really confirmed. So a Muslim must confirm. Chief Missioner mentioned a verse the other time that when they bring a news, you must verify. That was what Islam has taught us. Before the scholars of mass communication or whatever communication came up, he said when they brought anybody who brings any information, the best for a Muslim is to verify, to confirm. So you do a lot of efforts as a communicator, most especially at interpersonal communication. Because I must tell you, when you are interacting with people on one-to-one level, people are free to ask questions. People feel so much free to ask questions. And when they ask questions, you are unable to respond authoritatively and with a lot of wisdom, you will defeat the purpose of spreading Islam at that level. All preachers of Islam, there's no way they can spread Islam except through this method, because that is the history of Islam. That is the method that is working more effective for conviction of Islam than any other method of mass communication. So we must ensure that we pay attention to wisdom, to pleasant message, to authoritative references. I'll call it authoritative references. So communicator must ensure these are in place. Must also remember that we need the interpersonal communication and the skill therein, especially when they talk about the soft skill that you must acquire. The scholars of communication talks about the soft skills, and the whole soft skills are the etiquettes that Islam has taught us. Say you must be truthful, you must have courtesy, you must have integrity, you must be faithful, you must be hopeful. All these are concepts and the elements and the teachings that Quran has taught us, meaning that a communicator at the interpersonal communication is exposed much more than a mass communicator. Reason is that if you talk with me, if it were face-to-face, or even telephone conversation, or whatever means that you have done your communication, people will have opportunity to see you. It's not only gestures, not gesticulations alone. It's all about your life, about our personality. And if they discover that You are just playing double face. So you have betrayed the society that wants you to go and deliver the message to the public. We must appreciate one thing, that interpersonal communication skill of Prophet Muhammad played a very significant role for the spread of Islam. I want to cite an instance. A woman was about to carry a load, and Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had to come in and assist this woman, and he helped her to the home. And the woman was reflecting and was just remarking about Muhammad. She never knew that it was Muhammad. Say this one boy that was disturbing the world and the anxiety, and we were tired of him. Say bad so as. The woman started talking about that person. She never knew it was Muhammad. But later on, when the prophet completed the assistance, he said, I am Muhammad. And the woman just accepted Islam from that because she was surprised. So interpersonal communication skill, apart from the professionalism of it, is more contained for success in what we do. Just like a lot of people have been saying it. And we all must appreciate this. A lot of us are very skilled in talking. Some of us are brilliant in speech making. Some of us can convey, we are public speakers and all that. But the life they keep is contrary to what they say. And at that level, we just discovered that when you do interpersonal communication, your secret deal will be revealed. So anybody going to employ or using the interpersonal communication approach must also make sure he's conscious of this and run away from the contradictions. I want to mention that it's very important, very vital to success of our interpersonal communication use in the dawah, the language angle. I must not, I can say with a lot of concern that we see a lot of publications that are being produced, but we have not paid a good attention to language use. So also some of our preachers, and they even speak in the public at the public level. We must use good language, very standard language. Standard language use helps our audience to fall in love with the message we are trying to preach to them. We are putting a lot of efforts to build a society like NASFAT in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of commitments, and we must spread. And if we must spread, because the spread of this is the mission accomplished, then we must ensure that the vehicle to spread it is very efficient and effective. The language use, we must pay attention to it. I want to say, by way of advice, that maybe a committee of editorial minds must look at what we print, and there must be an appraiser body that checks who speaks on our behalf. We must remember that NASFAT is a collection of great minds, the elites, the successful businessmen, the accomplishers, and a lot of scholars. So when anybody is talking or speaking on behalf of the society, that person must be the quality representativeness. So I'm saying, laying emphasis on this, that we must also remember that interpersonal communications resolves crises. When you look at the war events, roundtable approach stops war much more than what we write on the papers, on the pages of papers, or what we say on television. The enemies will sit face to face, they express their concerns, then we profile solutions. That's to tell us that it is a pivot of our conversation in the society, a pivot of our social existence. And that's why it is not something that we can undermine. We know very well that the spread of Islam in West Africa is done by interpersonal communication, by the traders, by the ulama, who are talking to people one-on-one. So we can see by now, the population of Islam, if you want to trace it, how does it spread so much like this? It's due to interpersonal communication. That's why we must do a lot. We should do more on professionalizing. It's not too much to put money into training and retraining people who will speak for us. Because we want people who will speak for us from the fountain of knowledge. And we want people who are confidently upright. And we want people who can be the representative of our mission and vision. I said, since we have similar topics with the first speaker, I won't do much on my own, so that I will not be repeating the same thing. I think what I've tried to emphasize is, one, interpersonal communication started the human existence, and by God, so the interest and interpersonal communication is inevitable in our existence, and it's not new. It has been there. That is the whole method of communication as far as human existence is concerned. And I said that we should pay more attention to who is the communicator. What is the interpersonal communication? To see it much more than sender and receiver. To see it as interactive conversation. I also mentioned that the person who wants to communicate must know the audience, must know what he wants to pass and put across as the message of Islam. And we must also know the contextual level and situations where we want to send message, because there is always a right time, a right place, and a right message if you want to achieve any conversation successfully. And I also mentioned that we must remember that wisdom is key for the person who is doing the communication at interpersonal level. And I say, we must have somebody who can make use of pleasant words. A lot of people have got it wrong. For instance, when they talk about Islam, they say it's a religion of punishment. But they never talk about the good tidings. A lot of messages that they promise, a love, forgiveness, tolerance, righteousness, help, and all that. So we should do a more into exploring good messages of Islam to the public. And that's the pleasant level that I quoted, the verse, Surah An-Nahl, verse 150. I also mentioned that we should do more in putting resources into professionalizing our preachers and at the level of interpersonal communication this time, so that we can raise their level of language use, we can raise the level of their logic use, because there's no point if you drop message and you don't do a lot of explanation, people, then automatically we are defeating the conversation thing. So we should do more as society that is global now, is very global. So, and we must do quality thing. Like I said, anybody who is talking on behalf of Nesfa is talking on behalf of the population of the enlightened human beings. So we should do much to raise the level of our communication agenda. And on this note, I want to say thank you very much. May Allah continue to expand the horizon, the activities, and the blessings on NASFAT. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Man yas'alu qawla mimman da'a ila Allah wa amila solihan. Who can be a better speaker than the one who invite to the word of Allah? Who invite to the cause of Allah? You have presented it very well professionally. May you reward you abundantly. There's nothing we can offer you except to say Jazakumullahu khairan kathira. You have dwelt a lot on the importance of interpersonal communication. And we can have a reference for that. We have a lot of reference for that in the Quran. For example, in Quran chapter 20, verse 44, Allah says, فَقُولَ لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. When Musa والسلام, and Harun والسلام, were being sent to Pharaoh, the instruction that you might give them is that فَقُولَ لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. Speak with him with gentle speech. Perhaps may be reminded of fear Allah. It means when you are presenting your ideas, when you are presenting your views, you must know how to present in a way that will not evoke anger, that will not evoke hatred, that will present in a way that will evoke acceptance and submission from the person you are communicating with. We have gained a lot from you. As I said at the beginning of the program, this is just the first edition of communication webinar that National Party is organizing. Inshallah, we'll do another one again next month. You know, the word abundantly. On behalf of National Party, I say Jazakumullahu khairan kathira. You will pray for us before I do the concluding prayer.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma ya muqallibal qulub, thabbit qulubana ala dinika. Oh Allah, you are the changer of minds. Oh Allah, affirm our minds on hearts, on your religion. Oh Allah, la tuzigh qulubana ba'da idh hadaytana wa hab lana min ladunka rahmatan innaka antal wahhab. Allah, we ask you, do not change our mind away from this path. Bless us with your endowment, because you are the best to grant. We ask Allah to continue to protect the society, Nasrullah al-Fatih, all over the world. We ask him to open more grace, fresh favor, and may Allah accept all these endeavors as acts of ibadah from all of us. Al-Fatiha.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Rahmanirrahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amen. I want to appreciate all those who participated in this webinar. I single out my friend from Saudi Arabia, Brother Atta Farouk. He joined us on all the way from Saudi Arabia, and so many other participants that we cannot mention their name. So one chairman, Alhaji Serif, has been on the line since. Our security officer, ACP Aydara, is on the line, and so many of our NEC members. Allah, reward all of you abundantly. I see this opportunity to invite you again next week, Saturday, when we shall be hosting that erudite scholar from Qatar. He's based in Qatar, he's based in Canada, Professor Jezri Hauda. He's coming to discuss that interesting topic with us, reclaiming the mosque. Some of the misconceptions that we are holding about women in Islam. Professor Jezri Hauda has written a book on it, and is coming to present the summary of that book to us. Inshallah, that webinar will be held on Saturday next week. I still want to invite all of you to join us again next week at 5 o'clock to meet Professor Jezri Hauda. He's a renowned scholar, he's a great author. May God materialize spare our lives till then and thereafter. Allahumma tamatana bi du'aik wa tana bi ijabatik wa qad da'awnaka kama amartana wa ajibna kama wa'atana ya dal jalali wal ikrami innaka la tukhlifu al-mi'ad. I congratulate the PR Committee of Nasrullah Party who organized this event. We pray that Allah reward them abundantly. They did it in collaboration with the mission board, which Allah increased the knowledge of our missionaries. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. إن عذاب الدنيا وعذاب القبر ومن الموت الدجال وسوء المصير. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وتوفنا مسلمين وعلينا بالصالحين. اللهم ارزقنا اللهم ارزقنا اللهم علمنا اللهم علمنا اللهم اهدنا اللهم اهدنا اللهم عافنا اللهم عافنا اللهم اغفر لنا اللهم اغفر لنا اللهم ارحمنا اللهم ارحمنا اللهم انصرنا اللهم انصرنا اللهم اجعل خير كلامنا من الدنيا سعادة لا اله الا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. مع السلامة.